We have 4 days on heavy transport, lifting, shipping and offshore. Before I continue, I'd like to introduce myself. I studied mechanical engineering in Delft University. Started working in the heavy lift and transport business in 1973 with a company called Big Lift. Big Lift is still existing in Amsterdam until 1979, when I started together with, then Big Lift was taken over by Mammoet Transport and Shipping. Worked with Mammoet for about a year, half a year, and then decided to set up my own company together with a good friend of mine, Joop Rodeburg, and we started to set up iTrack. I married in 1982, and with Joop we were focusing on doing engineering for heavy transport and lifting, and Joop's father was owner of Huisman Equipment, and we gradually worked together with Huisman. Joop was more dedicated in construction and design of lifting equipment. I was more in the transport and lifting engineering type of thing. In 1987 I decided I go back in the transportation business and worked for contractor Van Zeumeren from 1987 till 89, which was a very nice time. And then we did together with Jumbo Shipping jobs together, where Jumbo Shipping offered the total transport concept. In other words, they offered their clients the total transport, which means we could pick up the piece in the shop where it was made and deliver it on site somewhere in the world. And everything in between was taken care of by Jumbo. In 2001 we set up Jumbo Offshore, and with the idea of using heavy lift ships not only for transport of heavy loads, but also to transport offshore structures and install the offshore structures with the same vessel. That was a new idea, a new concept, and it took off in 2003. We contracted the first offshore contract in Australia, the North Rankin gas field, where we work for Technip, shipping 2 valve skids from Perth, Fremantle actually, to the North Rankin gas field and install it in 125 meters water depth. So I decided to set up a seminar in 2008. I was still working with Jumbo, and I did it in consultation with the owner of Jumbo, and they said, okay, we should, educate others and transfer some know-how and knowledge. And that really took off. Today is my 99th seminar in 8 years in 25 countries. This seminar is quite an open discussion, although I'm talking most of it. I want you to participate. Yeah. So when you have questions, don't be shy. Just raise your hand and say, please, Richard, explain again to me. You can call me Richard. I'm easygoing. And as I said, don't be shy. We have 4 extensive days with a lot of information which is being thrown at you. And I understand it will not be easy to assimilate and accumulate all that information in your brains and think, oh my goodness, what did he say yesterday and how? There's a lot of information. But as I said, don't worry, we'll do it step by step, and I try to explain it in simple wording. To have an idea of who I'm talking about, of this whole group, who have an engineering background? 1, 2, 3, okay, only 3. No worry for the others. Although there are quite a few technical issues and technical formulas being discussed, do not worry. That's why I have all these models with me, so I can show you in detail what I mean by F is M times A and what the laws of Newton are, or etc. So even non-technical people will be able to understand it, and if you don't, again, ask. This course or this seminar, at the end of the 4th day, we also do an evaluation test. Evaluation test is easy because it's 35 questions over all the subjects you have seen these 4 days, and it's multiple choice. So you have to select of the 4 answers, A, B, C or D, the correct answer. What's the program? We do start with introduction and general knowledge. So what kind of equipment is available nowadays in the world? What kind of cranes, what kind of trailers, and how do we move heavy loads? Then we start with chapter 2. And chapter 2 is actually one of the most important chapters of this seminar. It deals about what are forces, what are masses, and what is the center of gravity. And if you understand what forces are, what masses is, and what center of gravity is, and you understand those basics, then you know the basics how to handle heavy loads safely. Then we go to heavy transport with hydraulic platform trailers, which deals about what is a hydraulic platform trailer, what is a 3-point suspension system, what is a hydraulic suspension system, how do we make a 3 or a 4-point suspension, what is stability, when does a trailer tip over, etc. All those subjects will play a role. We talk about steering configurations of platform trailers, how to change it. We talk about SPMTs, so-called self-propelled modular transporters. We talk about pulling force, how can we quickly estimate the required pulling force if we need to transport a generator of 230 ton up the hills in the mountains and we have slope gradients of up to 5 or 6%. How much pulling force do I need and how many tractors do I then require to pull that load up the hill? So that kind of exercises we do. And then that's probably the end of today. Tomorrow we start with lifting of loads with 2 or more cranes, but basically it's the lifting subject. It's all about slings, it's about steel wire ropes, it's about minimum brake load, safety factors, stability of a crane, what is a crane, what is a load moment. We talk about general lifting, how to calculate sling forces, what is a spreader beam, what is a lifting beam, what's the difference, etc. Then we go to maintenance and inspection, which is chapter 5, and that deals basically, it's a very short chapter, but it's still important. Preventive maintenance and to keep your equipment in good working condition is the key to safe work. And you have to provide your employers a safe working environment. In other words, you have to provide them the right tools to do the job. Cranes should be in good condition, trailers should be in good conditions, you should provide them with the right PPE, personal protective equipment, so that they can do a safe job. You want them all to return home safe in one piece without being injured after a day's hard work. Then we go to skidding and jacking techniques. We talk about the different type of skid systems. Most of the skid systems use Teflon on stainless steel because that's the lowest friction. But you also have steel on steel with grease in between, or hardwood on hardwood with grease. So there are different type of skidding systems. We talk about jacking systems, a simple cylindrical hydraulic jack or a climbing jack or a strand jack. We talk about airbags, SPMTs. There are all different kind of ways how to move heavy loads. Then we come to a chapter called Setup of a Project Planning. I always refer to the 7 P's. Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. If you do not prepare and not plan, you have a lousy job. And you are into project delays, mistakes. I thought you did this. No, you had, misunderstandings. That's key to failure. Preparation and planning is very important. Then we go to preparation of a cost estimate. How do we bid a job, a project? So we talk about how do we build up a cost price. Before you can sell a job, you need to know what the cost is. Yeah, so we talk about that. And of course we have various question and answer sessions. Day 3 is about loadouts of extreme heavy loads. We talk about rolling on and off barges, and when do we roll on and roll off on barges. You can do it during tidal conditions, so that the difference of the sea is changing due to the tide. What do you need to know for a barge? When do you roll on and when do you roll off? How do you configure your trailer for big modules, etc. That's all the kind of subjects we talk about in loadouts. Then we talk about safety and risk management. It's basically discussing how you should set up a safety and risk management system. I'm sure most of your companies where you work have a kind of a safety management system, because that's now a requirement from all clients, that you as a contractor have a safety management system in place. So we talk about that. Then we go to heavy lift shipping, and that gives an overview of what kind of heavy lift vessels are available. We have the so-called lift on, lift off, which uses cranes to lift the cargo on and off board. We have the so-called roll on, roll off, so we roll on, roll off. We have float on and float off, so vessels that submerge, that you can float a floating object above the vessel and that the vessel raises it out of the water. And we have combinations of the three. We have lift on and row combinations, etc. Module carriers, different kind of vessels. In that subject we also talk about stability, but stability of ships is an extensive subject, so I will only touch upon the basics of how to calculate stability of the ship. And I am sure I will not go too deep into it, but there are some technical formulas which you as non-engineers might have a problem in understanding. Do not worry, it's just to give you an idea what stability of the ship is. The same applies to lashing and securing of cargo on board of a vessel. How do we calculate the number of lashings required to make sure that the cargo is safe on the ship, and that the ship, if it encounters a heavy storm, that the cargo still stays in one piece and that it's not being tossed around in the ship. After heavy lift shipping, we go to offshore lifting, well actually offshore transport and installation techniques. We talk about offshore field developments, subsea structures, how to install them, what kind of vessels do we use for that kind of work. That's then day 3. Day 4 is basically a summarization of all what you have heard the past 3 days. And we continue with accidents and how to avoid them. I have a chapter which shows a lot of different accidents, pictures as well as videos, and with only one object, to show you how you should not do it and what you should not do. Yeah, because from mistakes we can all learn. As you may have noticed, I have 2 websites. One is heavyliftspecialist.com and the other one is heavyliftnews.com. In Heavylift News I post every day between 3 and 10 news items. It depends on how much news there is. And I'm a strong believer that we should make public the accidents which happen in the industry. By making it public and showing to the world what went wrong and why it went wrong, we can at least learn something from it and not make the same mistakes again. So that's the idea of showing accidents and how to avoid them. And then finally, the do's and don'ts in lifting. Again, it's a summary of what we have discussed about in these past 3 days. It's a rehearsal so that you are more or less up to the level that you can make the test. And then finally we have the evaluation test and final question and answer session. That's the whole program. Again, do not be shy. Ask the questions you want to ask, even if you have a certain project in your mind where you're working on right now. Don't worry. The 4-day seminar is the most extensive seminar you can sit in, and we have time to discuss this. Well, here's a list of conversion units. Unfortunately, the world is still not one system. We have still Americans who stick with their feet and inches and pounds. Most of the rest of the world is in the metric and decimal system, which is of course the most practical and easy to use. But anyway, for people who are still having problem or are used to imperial, here are the conversion units. Here is a summary of all the seminars I did since 2008, today number 99, and you have here the logos of all the people and companies who support my work. If you want to become a sponsor yourself, just contact me and you can put the logo on my website. To give you an idea, Heavy Lift News attracts between 60 and 80,000 visitors per month from 115 countries worldwide. Heavy Lift Specialist is not so popular, but the time people spend on Heavy Lift Specialist is longer. There's a lot of information there on the seminar slides and contents of the seminar. Let's go to the seminar. Any questions?